channel. This is your program, and it's our humble duty to keep you informed. And keeping in line with that, we've got a guest here. I think he's come here for the tea, actually, to have a cup of tea with me this morning. Is the wonderful journalist, Mr. Raska Jaikuri, is here. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Faraz.
Thank you very much. And indeed, yes, you can have a cup of Jones tea.
It's very pleasant, unlike the UNP parliamentary group meeting last night. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. You mean the tea is more pleasant than that? Right. Thank God for that. You know, cheers to tea, because
cheers.
It's so Sri Lankan, and it's a lovely, uplifting drink. I've just had a sip. Now then, and I've noticed that they've chipped the thing here on the side. Goodness me, terrible. Anyway, we also hope to be joined by a Member of Parliament from the United National Party, a bit vociferous young man, Sujiva Sen Singer. Hopefully will be joining us by the telephone, because he's somewhere up in Kandy. And whenever we are able to connect up with him, he will hopefully join the conversation. Now then, Rastika, I suppose I ought to start at the beginning. Did anything happen?
That is the eternal question.
Yeah, but what's happening?
From the standpoint of UNPs. Now, last evening there was a meeting, the UNP parliamentary group meeting, which was supposed to be a crucial meeting in terms of making a final decision on the proposed leadership change. But unfortunately, there was no outcome, and the meeting ended abruptly. After that, the large majority of parliamentary group members held an unofficial vote, which is not something, which is an unusual move, unofficial vote, and they overwhelmingly voted in favor of Sajith Premadasa as the party leader. But for us, now, as far as the UNP constitution is concerned, it is the working committee that is entrusted with the task of appointing the leader and other party officials. But this is an indication. I mean, 50 from what I heard, 52 out of 77 members in the parliamentary group. I heard about 65% yesterday. So 52 out of 65 members voted in support of Premadasa. And so at the time of this vote, Mr. Wickramasinghe and some of his close allies and some MPs who have decided to remain neutral without taking any side, they have not been a part of this vote. They had walked off. They have walked out of the meeting. But this is an indication that the UNP MP group is largely in support of Mr. Premadasa as the new leader of the party.
I'm told by Harshana Rajakarna, the MP, dear Sarath Chandra's son, that the leader was trying to not have a vote, and that Harshana got up and said that, look, you know, you are sort of, you taught us all this when we first joined, and now you yourself is sort of breaking this, what you taught us. And he suggested that a vote be taken whether to vote, and at which point is when the meeting abruptly ended.
So it seems to be a cycle of votes. But yes, Faraz, I think I have to agree with Harshana in that regard, because if there is a democratic framework within the UNP, there's no reason to shy away from a vote, and the majority opinion should prevail. I mean, these are the basic tenets of democracy, which Mr. Wickramasinghe is very familiar with.
Because he did his A-levels a long time ago.
Yes, but I don't know why there's this kind of reluctance to go for a vote, because now we know what happened at the parliament presidential election. The UNP suffered a landslide defeat.
Not only that, Rastika, we all know what's happened to the United National Party for the last 25 plus years. So we can't just be only focusing on the last event. We must focus on a whole series of events. And this has contributed in large part, certainly in no small measure, it has contributed to the deterioration of standards of governance in this country, because when you have no checks and balances, which is what an opposition does, and the UNP, thanks to its poor leadership and being unable to inspire the public to vote for them, have ended up in as the opposition. And even that has not been done properly.
Yeah, Faraz, I think this is something to do with the Sri Lankan political culture, because Sri Lankan political parties do not understand the idea of internal democracy. For instance, even if you take the Lanka Samasamaja party, from 1935 to 1978, they had only one leader, which is Dr. N.M. Pereira,
Yeah.
the Communist Party of Sri Lanka.
But you can't expect the communists to have democracy.
Yes, okay. All right. My bad. But if you take the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Mrs. Bandaranayake was at the helm of the party for nearly 40 years.
It's not the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
I know.
It's the Sri Lanka Feudal Party. That's what it is.
Yes, so we can't have these feudalistic systems in our in our political culture, and it's important that the UNP should break away from this tradition and pursue a new path. I mean, people are asking for that, especially before the presidential election. With Mr. Premadasa's nomination as the presidential candidate of the party, the hopes were high on the part of the UNP supporters, UNP rank and file. So Mr. Premadasa was given 35 days to conduct his election campaign. So his success or failure can't be measured by the 35 days during which he carried out his campaign. So now I think it's fair by everyone to give Mr. Premadasa another chance, probably another 5-10 years. And if he's not fit to be a leader, or if he doesn't have the mettle to be the party.
First of all, we need to give him a chance.
Yes. So if that is the case, someone else will replace him at some point. This is why there has to be a culture of internal democracy within the UNP.
Right. We're on the other side of the telephone, thanks to technology. We've got the Member of Parliament, Sujiva Senasinghe. But before that, I just want to remind our listeners, our viewers, that on NEWSLINE Live, we encourage you to send us your questions. After all, this is your program. And the number you can do that is by SMS 0772 300 305. And thank you and welcome to all our listeners, some of them watching us live from the Middle East, from the Gulf, and some from Australia. Though it's nice that people are watching us from these other countries, because it shows their continued and long-lasting interest in the land of their birth. And on the line now is the MP Sujiva Senasinghe. Very good morning to you, Sujiva Senasinghe.
Good morning, Faraz.
Thank you very much for agreeing to get up so early after your long journey back to Kandy. Now then, can you tell us what has happened yesterday at the leadership stakes at your party?
Yeah, we have been asking for a change for a long time, and I think I have been doing that for a long time in the party. And so the same problem came up again, and then we suggested that that there should be a change of the leadership. And then I think Mr. Wickramasinghe said that the leadership had been decided for 6 years, and it is due in another 5 years, I guess. And until then, that it cannot be challenged. But then everybody's actually suggestion was that for us to make a headway in politics and for us to be successful in politics as a party, we said that we felt that the leadership must change. Then the idea was that there must be at least a vote by the members of the party, by the parliament members of the party.
Yeah.
And about 65 members are present at that moment. So we suggested that there should be a vote to see whether we should go for a vote.
Right. And
So,
did you have that vote?
We have not exactly a vote. Then I got up and said, can everybody get up who wants a vote for the leadership? And I think majority, about 80%, got up and said, yeah, we would want to go for a vote. But Mr. Wickramasinghe said that he had spoken to a few MPs and they didn't want to go for a vote. So that is why I suggested, then why don't we all get up and say that the democracy, that even in Parliament, sometimes we go for votes to see whether we want to go for a vote. So that happened, and then eventually Mr. Wickramasinghe didn't agree on that. So then he left. I think he left the room, and then Mr. Baddu Bandara proposed Sajith Premadas's name as the not as the leader. It's not actually official vote or such, but to see the preference of the members, then he said that he proposed Sajith Premadas to be the leader of the party.
Right.
So then we asked the members again to show solidarity who would think that Sajith must be the leader. So about 52, I think 52 we counted, then said that they would want Sajith Premadas to lead the party. So that is how it ended, and then I think Mr. Wickramasinghe said that he would talk to Mr. Premadas and Mr. Karul Jayasuriya, and then get back to us on the situation of the future of the party. That is where it stands.
And when did he promise to get back? This is going on for weeks and weeks now. 2 Thursdays ago, they said last Thursday, and then that Thursday came, and then yesterday, and nothing's really happened. So when
exactly that was our point as well. So I think we are waiting in limbo. We are waiting to see what it would be, what the future of the party would be.
Why do you think he's hanging on? Is it because has anybody told him that enough is enough, that he must go, that he's simply not good material to be the leader of the United National Party?
I think that I don't want to go into details because this took place inside a room where we all discussed in length about this. So I don't want to go into detail. I think many people have told him that, but it is his decision now. Eventually, I think it has been his decision for a long time. So
have you pointed out that just like what happened at the presidential poll, where the delay perhaps contributed to Mr. Premadasa not having enough time, sort of ran out of time on the campaign trail?
I did several times actually during these meetings.
And are you fearful? Are you fearful for your membership at the United National Party now that you've done that?
Not at all. I've never been. No, you know me.
Right, but but I don't know RW. What do you think he'll do to you?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can do what they want to do to us because we do politics. I think most of us with a principle. It's not that this is our business or this is our. I think we are not going to be selfish on this. I think about 30 to 40 of us have actually decided that something must happen, and if that doesn't happen, that I don't think we would even continue in politics.
So, but sometimes sometimes you need to be destructive to be creative, and so is there, from today you can apply to register new political parties. Have you got some plans to register another party and go as a breakaway faction?
No, it would never a breakaway faction, but we suggested that Sajith Premadasa must be the leader of the coalition, a greater coalition, and then for that I think many parties have agreed to make Sajith Premadasa as the leader of the coalition, and that we have suggested that, and we might work on that direction as well, but it is not a breakaway, it is part of UNP, and we have done that several times last time also Hansa was actually a result of that. And a similar movement with the leadership of Sadit Premdas. We have suggested, and I think other parties also, Mr. Mano Ganeshan, Digambaran, Rafakim, Champika Ranamaka, Raj Senatna, all of them also have suggested that they would want to join such a leadership and a movement. So
what about Sujiva Senasinghe? What about it's just not about electing the leader. One also needs to elect a general secretary of the party. Otherwise, you'll be going in different and opposite directions.
That would happen. That would happen. The leader is the first thing, and then the general secretary, and then the other office bearers also would be appointed.
Do you get the feeling? Yeah. Do you get the feeling, as many people do, that RW, your leader, is working hand in glove with MR and co. to preclude Sajid Premadasa from leading the party?
I wouldn't want to comment on that publicly because I belong to a party and I have a little bit of, I think, decency. I wouldn't want to voice my opinion on that publicly. You have to understand there are certain rules and regulations in a party. So I have said what I want to tell yesterday, and not only yesterday, for about 10 years I have been saying this fearlessly and sacrificing my political career. It's been a long career, 15 or 20 years.
Right.
So with all that, we have decided that, and I have always done that. And
thank you. In the meantime, many questions. Thank you very much for the questions. Somebody's asking, who left the meeting with RW?
I think a few.
Did the General Secretary leave with him?
Yeah, I think he left. Vajra left, and Naveen Disanaika, and I think few of them. A handful. Right.
Do you think, the other thing is to note is that all the small parties are hanging on to the UNP, so you've got a pretty diverse support base there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, how do you there's a need to keep them together?
Yes, so that was the idea, I think, a greater coalition, a broader coalition, and that was the idea. So we'll wait and see, because 26 years the leader has been Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. So the future will decide the fate of the UMP as well. So we have been hanging on to the party. We have not left the party. We have been fighting inside the party. So working for democracy, fighting for democracy.
How committed are you, Sujiva Senasinghe, to remain in the United National Party when, as a young politician, you're relatively young, as a young politician, with all this sort of doubt about the leadership of the party and therefore its potential to be elected into a majority situation in Parliament, when all that seems to be at stake, how about you? Does it augur well for your own future in politics?
It doesn't matter. I think the only burden and the driving force is that people say that despite they have attacked me several times, the media and the rest of them, but I think majority, or 99%, would ask me to stay in politics. That they won't, because I've done a human service in Parliament and as a very limited powers as a state minister and a deputy minister, and that is the only thing which keeps me going in politics. So people say that the people are far caliber, and with our principles we must stay in politics, and that's the only driving force. Otherwise, we are also quite fed up by sometimes things that I would want to make way for another career or something else. to live in dignity and not to join another party, not to actually betray my voters and the public, general public. So we have always been honourable. So I want to remain honourable as well.
No, but how long are you willing to wait to sort this out?
A very, very short time. It's maybe a month, maximum 2 weeks. I don't know. It will decide our fate. Most of us, about 40 of us, have given indication that if the party doesn't change, we might get out of politics. So that indication has been given to the leadership. So we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Well, that's a big one. Sujiva Senasinghe, thank you very much for your time with us this morning on Newsline Live, and wish you a happy and wonderful day ahead of you. Rasika Jayakodi, what does this all mean? Wait and see. Wait and see for what?
Faraz, now one thing the office bearers of the UNP should understand is that the UNP is not the party headquarters or the name board in front of it.
Right.
The UNP is where the people are. The UNP is where the party supporters are. Right. The UNP is where the grassroots activists are.
Yeah.
So this is what Mr. Wickramasinghe and the party officials and even those who are supporting Mr. Premadasa should understand. So they should align with where the people are, where the party supporters are.
Right.
That is why it's absolutely important to have a democratic framework within the party to make critical decisions. Otherwise, they are going to get wiped out at the next parliamentary election, because they are currently playing on a very bad wicket, because they lost the election with a resounding presidential election with a resounding margin. So going forward, they need to have a fresh strategy. They need to have a fresh plan. They need to have fresh faces.
But all of this is being stymied by one man.
I'm not sure whether it's one man or a group of people or a collective of...
Well, come on, the working committee, a fair amount is chosen by the leader.
Yes.
But then the others are made up of the district leaders and so on. But those in turn are appointed by the leader.
But I think at this point for us, according to my personal belief, the majority of working committee members are also pushing for a change. Even though they have been appointed by the party leader, they are also, I think I don't have any information in this regard, but from what I see and from what I hear, the majority of them will look for a change, and I think this is going to come up at the next working committee meeting. I don't know when it will be convened, but from what I understand, this will be taken up at the next working committee meeting, and we will see where it goes. But I think it's very important for everyone to understand that this should be resolved in a manner that doesn't split the party, because yes, I mean, that option is available. That option is available for the Premadasa group to form a new party and form a new alliance. But it's going to be a lot of hard work.
Has the UNP descended to such a level that we now may need, people who are not being forceful enough within the party and to insist on this change in the interest of the party? Have they descended to such a level that now all that's left is to bring in the Kattadia? I
think there are. I think from what I gathered, the likes of Mr. Sujiva Senasinghe are still hopeful. They are willing to wait for another month and see. But I think something must happen. That's all I understand. Something must happen.
But 25 plus years, something must happen. For 25 years, he's had a leadership council before, I think in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right, and nothing's come out. For heaven's sake, this constitution of the United National Party has been tinkered with, whereas the national constitution can be changed, amended, almost anything could be done if you have a two-thirds majority.
Faraz, I think you raised a very important point. The problem in the UNP is bigger than the party leader, which is the party. The real problem, I think, is the party constitution, which gives unimaginable powers to the party leader.
Well, yes, they should have had the equivalent of 19th Amendment for the United National Party.
Yes, I think that's where the real change should come in. Even if they manage to elect a new leader, appoint a new leader, that leader can act in despotic manner if they continue with the same constitution. Then we are not going to see any kind of internal democracy within the UNP. So while pushing for a leadership change, I think it's important for the majority of UNP parliamentary group members and working committee members to push for a new constitution for the United National Party, which ensures internal democracy within the party, and and to make sure that the decisions are made in a transparent and democratic manner. I think that's the way forward for the UNP.
Now, Rustika Jayakodi, why do you think that this issue is so much in the news, this leadership of the United National Party? Why is it important? Is it important for the country?
I mean, UNP is the main opposition, and as much as we need a strong government, we need a strong opposition. And opposition is opposition is entrusted with the task of appearing on behalf of the public who are undergoing, who are facing multiple problems on many fronts. So if we don't have a solid opposition, this country will slide into a dictatorship.
Yesterday evening, we got a report of a bunch of people who ignored the banks. There were three or four banks there. They ignored the pawn shop, and instead they broke into a vegetable shop. They stole bags of vegetables. Is this an indication of the frustration of the people?
Of course, I mean that speaks volumes of of the pressure that the people are experiencing right now. And yes, the government is trying to do something. They are still still the honeymoon period, but the problems are already cropping up. So that's why we need a strong, vibrant opposition that can support the people, that can appear on behalf of the true interests of the people. But the opposition is embroiled in their own power struggles, and that's why and I think it
don't you think that the people will just say, forget this, we're not going to vote for anyone, because after all, what's the point? We voted some people in, and they're all saying, well, quite a few of them are saying, let's wait and see. What do you mean, wait and see? Wait and see for what? This country's been waiting for 71 years since chasing away the last of the colonial invaders, right? And 71 years, we're waiting and seeing for what? Just imagine the share prices, the economy of this country, had we had better, strong leadership, visionary leadership, people who are more capable of the national interest than their personal interest.
I think that's true, Faraz, because if people lose faith in their policymakers, in their representatives, that's going to produce disastrous results for the country. That's why it's very important to maintain the public trust in politics and in policy making, and to convince the public. And politicians should act in a manner that can be, convincing the public that they are bothered about the people, not about their power struggles or not about their petty, trivial issues within their respective camps, but they are willing to stand up for the public. So that message has to be given by all parties. Even I mean, the entire political spectrum is now caught up with a phone call controversy that has become telephone calls, and these leaked recordings have become a part of our daily dose of entertainment.
Well, they ought to have just put it onto a YouTube channel, and the Government Information Department could have earned some revenue.
I think that's very true for us, without wasting money by appointing presidential commissions and all that. I mean, over the years we have seen multiple commissions probing many issues, but it hasn't produced any result.
All it does is it provides the public with a bit more information and nothing much else. This is what's happened to the Commission of Inquiry into the bonds. Nothing has happened. 1 year was this, 1 year was that, another year was something else. And now they're arguing about whether the information should be released, and it should be released. It should be released because this information was paid for by the people of this country. And if you want to hide some information for legal reasons, because you want to use it as evidence, then so be it. But there's a lot more in that report, in those forensics, I am sure, that is worthwhile releasing to the public, whether or not there's an election ahead of us. And if that is why they're hiding this, or parts of it, well, then it's a very sad day indeed. So there you go. Rasika Jayakuri, I do appreciate you coming on the program. At least we've made you a cup of tea.
Thank you very much for that, which I enjoyed.
Which you've enjoyed.
Quite a lot.
There you go. We need to thank A.F. Jones for that. Wonderful tea. I love it. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead of you. And of course, God bless.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.